Hi guys, today is the 26th of January 2020 and it's 21 minutes past 7 in the evening over here in the UK, and I just wanted to do a quick video about tomorrow the 27th and the 28th and then potentially the 31st, but there's a little bit of convolution in that because the 31st could also be a reference to the 28th, and I'm going to try and explain that in just a few moments. But first, the blackout event is what I always seem to be connecting to the number 27. There's a number of reasons why. In this scene we've got the darkness, the emergency lighting, everything just seems to be connected to power outage in this particular scene here. Sorry, stop that. And when I look at the images that they put on this screen, I just see the number 27 upside down, the 666 barcode being 999, the emergency number of the UK, 9 plus 9 plus 9 being 27, and the dog's legs down here, 2 marks over here, 1 mark but connecting it to the bottom of the jaw of the dog, making another backwards 7. So a series of 27s or 711s, however you want to put it. I look at it as potentially the same thing. Obviously the 27th of January is tomorrow, so that would be a big one to watch for potential blackout. We are coming up to, Brexit, the Taliban peace deal, Donald Trump impeachment, Donald Trump deposition with Supreme Court, and all sorts of other events, coronavirus with China, the list goes on. However, the number 27 could also be represented, as you can see here, as 117, or in this interpretation, January 17th, which it is on the Julian calendar. So January the 17th is the 30th. I can't move it back. Anyway, I'll just get rid of it. January the 17th is the 30th of January on the Gregorian calendar. So looking out for the blackout event either tomorrow or on the 30th of January, maybe closer to Brexit, day before power goes out, and then we see other events unfolding. The other interpretation for the number 27 or 117 or 711 is February the 7th. Now that would be the very last day of the Julian calendar interpretation for the year of the pig. So that wouldn't leave very much interpretation for anything else unfolding within the year of the pig, which I think is the case. So I put that one as a little marker there. If the blackout event doesn't unfold tomorrow or on the 30th of January, then I'll be keeping my mind on February the 7th, and if it happens then, well, the other events would obviously be unfolding after that. In my interpretation, we seem to begin with that event in at least one location. The locations I've looked at: London, New York, Florida, Texas, Maine, mainly those. There may be other places, but mainly those places. I'm not seeing it as like a continent-wide or country-wide blackout, more localized, to do with cyber attack, less connected to like an EMP or a major event like that, but something more, as I said, connected to a cyber attack. The reason for that is because as we come out of this scene where we get all the 27 reference, we come into the classroom, and one of the things George Bush does with his hands, as you guys who've watched my videos are well aware, is he shows the number 10, I missed it. He shows the numbers 10, 10, and then 7. The 10s are generally easy to catch, the 7 less so, because it just comes at the beginning of when he starts to move his fingers really quickly. So I'll try and catch that 10, 10, and then 7, 4 on one hand, 3 on the other, giving us that reference to the number 7. So 27, or again, if you've got 10, 10, you take the zeros away from that, you've got 1, 1, and 7. Again, to me, the same thing. The 27th of January, 30th of January, which is January the 17th on the on the Julian calendar, or February the 7th. With all of that connected to the darkness again and just starlight, it again gives me that connection to blackout, to darkness. When we cross over to the next scene, I see the number 27 repeated again several times, and that is here. You've got 2 marks, upside down 7. You've got the 2 bunny ears, the 7 in the vine leaves just there, 1 1, backwards 7. On the apple there's also an 11-7 reference, though you have to take a screenshot and zoom in, which I'm not going to bother to do. If you'd like to do that, you can, but that's just a reference, all of them connecting me to potentially the 27th of January, the 30th of January, or the 7th of February. Now after that, I start to see the number 28, and that starts to appear in this scene and then the next scene. Only one reference to it though. I'm not seeing multiple references to it like I did to the number 27. So the number 27 seems to be that kind of alert, warning reference. So maybe not the date that events transpire, but the warning date before events transpire. Excuse me, having trouble with my words. The 28 reference comes from this character here. It calls out to me because it's the only one that seems to be hidden. And with the white rabbit, follow the white rabbit reference, you know, Alice and everything like that, looking, that was a bad line, looking directly at the 8th character in terms of just the blue characters, not including the girl in this count, he becomes the 8th character. So 8, 11, 11, 8, or 28. And that flows on from obviously the number 27. Now in terms of the Julian calendar, where 117 or 11/7 or 27 is a reference to January the 30th, the same is the next day. So 28 or 11/8 is a reference to January the 31st. And as I said, January the 31st, Brexit, Donald Trump deposition in New York, Donald Trump impeachment still going on, coronavirus still going on, Taliban peace still. And again, when you just think of that number 31 and the Taliban, you've got the reference to Osama bin Laden and everything else connected in there. And it just so happens when you're looking at this scene, the number that jumped out from the very beginning, I mean, even in earlier interpretations, I remember saying the light that goes across here, it appears to make the letter J. I'm just gonna go back so you guys can see that, speed it up. So just watch the light there and you can possibly see the letter J. You see it? J there. And you know, obviously that could give us January, and then the next thing we've got is 31, so January 31st. That is obviously linking us to many different things in terms of the Middle East, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, the Shia Crescent lighting up for whatever reason that may be. And obviously if the day before, on the 30th, the January 17th on the Julian calendar, there's been a cyber attack which has caused a blackout, I'm sure they're going to blame Iran or somewhere in that region, the Middle East, because again, that 31:13 reference is shown again in this scene here, with the 3 planes that come along, but only one shooting a missile. So 3-1, 31. We then have this 5 response. How that connects in, not too sure. Maybe that's referencing to January the 5th, or maybe 5 targets. We know that this depicts an aircraft carrier in the background. At least one of the missiles is heading towards that. The rest are going off to other locations. That may actually be shown in this video, but Again, not too sure. Now, just taking a very brief trip back to that 28 reference, how it was shown in this scene, it's then shown again in this scene with the seeds in the apple 1 and 2 connecting together to form the number 8. So again, either the 28th of January, the 31st of January, which is January the 18th on the Julian calendar, and that's really it, because I don't see the February the 8th reference. It goes outside of my watch, so if it does happen, I would have to definitely see events unfold like the day before to, you know, continue to want to look at this video. But as I said, I feel like the events unfold within this timeline of the year of the pig, and that only extends up to February the 7th on the Julian calendar. So that's where I stop, especially if nothing happens. With that being said, this apple scene connects to New York, Hawaii, Italy, volcanoes, Kilauea, Mauna Loa, La Palma or La Cumbre Vieja, same thing, Mount Etna, Stromboli, the underwater volcano, Comoros, that's just recently been discovered, which apparently was the reason for the strange hum that people were hearing around the world. I'm not so sure, but that's what they're saying. The birth of this volcano was the cause of it. There's the River Hudson, the Brexit interpretation. You've got the pound coin just down here. So many different things, and obviously if the 28 reference isn't a reference to the 28th of January, but rather a reference to January the 18th on the Julian calendar, which is January the 31st on the Gregorian calendar, then again, that is the day of Brexit. We could see something happen that causes the pound to lose value or the UK to lose territory, something along those lines. But I can't ignore the fact that there's also the L here with the 12 reference. We've got the LC reference that we often interpreted as the lunar calendar, and with the light shining just on the C and the L going dark, we assume that the L, being the 12, was representing the 12th month coming to an end and the new month beginning, and we looked at that last year. Now that could be an interpretation for this year. Again, we're still within the year of the pig on the Julian calendar. Now if C represents the third letter of the alphabet, then perhaps that means the third day after the 12th lunar month has finished. Now that would be the 28th. No, it wouldn't be. That would be counting just 3 days. The actual third day would be the 27th. So again, we're back to that 11-7 reference, that 27 reference, following on to the 28. These are all just interpretations, I must make it clear. Thankfully, over the years that we've been doing this, the trolls have kind of given up, and I'm very grateful for that. It was never very difficult dealing with them. It was just annoying because I know that they understand what I and others are trying to do in terms of interpreting this video and putting out the potential events. Obviously, if you are watching these videos, then you have to have some sort of underlying belief that the world that we live in isn't what we're told it is, and in fact things are planned, things are staged, everything has a cue, so we believe that this video was used because it's an animation, and animations aren't taken seriously, cartoons aren't taken seriously. But the topics that are covered in here, as covert as they are also overtly dark and ominous. The winter references, the dark references, the Twin Tower references, if they didn't make it obvious enough by using Bush and the classroom and the title of iPet goat, then putting things like crumbling towers in there should give you a clear enough reference that they're indicating 9/11. But you have to remember that this video was released in 2012, so 11 years after 9/11, and it's not talking about that 9/11. It's just giving you that reference so that you know that this is potentially connected to another event that leads to something bigger. And the only thing I can really think of as the 9/11 event is the 7/11 event, which is the new 9/11. It's been referenced many times. We've shown you those videos across the media. Donald Trump himself has said it. So it seems to be that 7/11 or 11/7 or 27 number that starts this new 9/11. And as I said, that sequence of numbers connects to 3 dates within this Julian calendar, Year of the Pig Watch: the 27th of January, the 30th of January, and the 7th of February. Very Blackout specific. Definitely looks like a cyber attack related blackout, and the potential to cause nuclear meltdown in one or multiple locations. You guys, that's it. I'm done. Thank you for listening. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.